Hello and welcome back to Two Chicks and a Horror Flick. I'm Tawny Ray.
And I'm Felicia Connor.
And today we are going to be talking about quarantine, and last minute we decided to do a double feature. So we're also going to be talking about another Dowdle Brothers film, the Poughkeepsie Tapes.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, sorry that we did we miss an episode last week, or did we have
No, it's just that, okay, listen. Yeah, we missed our recording of it. But all that means is that now we're just backed up against when we record versus when we air, which actually might be a really nice thing.
Gotcha.
Because then it's like closer to, like we're recording closer to when we air.
Yeah.
And on one hand, I'm like a little scared because I'm like, if we get behind, we're going to be like, you know what I mean? We might miss a week. But is that going to be the end of the world? Probably not.
No.
And I feel like it's more relevant. Like, I keep getting confused. Like, Kara made a comment in the Facebook group that I thought she was talking about You Should Have Left before we even aired You Should Have Left. Because, like, in our brains, we've watched it. And so,
and we've just talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of excited that
me too. So I was sick last weekend and Tawny was awesome. We weren't able to record because I wasn't feeling well. So we were like, let's do a double feature. So that's what we're talking about here. And I totally agree with you because sometimes I'm like, I forget what has been out. And I always have to refer, like if I'm going to post the little announcement, I have to go to the Instagram to see what we posted already.
Listen, y'all, we busy, okay? Like, both of us, we're working full-time jobs.
Yeah.
On top of that, we got businesses on the side.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how you do it, Felicia. You got kids. Okay, I don't even have kids going on in my life. And
I just
I'm
barely
having a
do
hard
it.
time.
I just barely. I celebrate when people cancel meetings because of time. And I'm late on everything all the time.
You know what? Me too. That's cool.
Yeah. I still think I didn't post the little audio clip, I thought of doing it and then I hadn't, and oh my God.
Yeah. Can't do it all. Can't catch it all. Whatever.
Show up for this though.
Yes.
Unless I'm sick, but other than that, here I am.
Which I'm very excited about because I was missing this from last week. I was like, I just felt like there was something missing last weekend, and it was definitely this conversation.
Yeah, I held it. Like please let me get better. Please let me feel better. And then I'm like, I'm going to be so boring. Not that I'm super exciting all the time, but I'm going to be extra boring because I don't feel good.
Well, it sucks when you're not at that, energetic.
I'm just not going to enjoy it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. So, what are you drinking over there?
So, what I'm drinking is I am drinking Kin. In this little glass says, "Let's drink wine and judge people."
Okay.
And water. And I also have my glass of water.
Not true to you at all, by the way. Let me just say that.
I don't sit around and judge people. Probably not. But I mean, if you're going to go, "Oh my gosh, guess what?" I'm probably going to go, "What?"
Me too. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
Off air, but yeah, I'm like, ooh, I want to be in the know. So I got some Aberfeldy whiskey again.
Ooh.
In this neat little whiskey. I don't know if you've ever seen these cool whiskey glasses. Usually, I don't have this one because I got Jade a set for his birthday. Or maybe I did talk about it at some point, but I broke one because they're like hand blown. And I don't know if you can see this, but there's like a gap. And so it's very fragile. I dropped this ice cube because it also came with circular ice ball things. Mm-hmm. And I dropped it in there and it shattered the bottom of the glass. So that was a bummer. So now we only have one of these.
And it's yours tonight.
It is mine tonight. Usually I don't drink out of it because I feel personally responsible for breaking it. And so I just drink out of like a wine glass, except for tonight, because I'm drinking the rest of it.
Nice.
It's all gone.
Nice. I might. No, I was talking to my husband about it, and this is not about horror movies, but when I was like taking a break from drinking because it wasn't making me feel good, and last week I was sick because I had these migraines and I have to get a CAT scan, so I really wanted to like detox and reset, and I feel like my posts on social media, I was talking about what that means to me as far as having an unhealthy relationship with alcohol, not being an alcoholic, but especially being in quarantine. Every night we were having a drink, and you know what I mean, and doing all of that.
Yeah.
But my husband, because my post, like the picture said about being sober, he's like, nobody read the rest of it. And so everybody thinks. And then, so I put this thing on me like, gosh, I can never drink again in my life. And I wasn't even I wasn't even planning that. Like, that was like,
Yeah.
I just wanted to, you know, and so, yeah, he's like, you need to have a drink and you need to see, like, you don't need to, but like, don't let that hold you back if that wasn't your intention. But yeah, I almost got a glass of wine, and then I'm like, oh shit, well, I'm going to have to explain it to Tawny and then explain it. And
Oh my God, never.
so I didn't.
No. I knew, I mean, obviously I talked to you probably more often,
Yeah,
but I knew the intention of that. And so you don't have to
Yeah.
explain shit to me.
Nice.
I mean,
like that.
I would probably be like, oh, are you back drinking? Just because, you know, I'm not trying to encourage bad habits unless you want me to, because then I'm on board. I'm
There
like, okay.
Go. There we
do
go.
I just want to make sure that's what you want. If that's what you want, I'm in.
All right. Yeah, I think I might I mean, I've gone almost 50 days, 47 days exactly. And another of it was like losing weight. I wanted to see if that would help. I wanted to see like all of those different things. And I do like the lifestyle change of not having, you know, a drink every single night because of my headaches. And there was a period of time where I would be drinking one glass of wine, and while I was drinking it, I was getting a headache. So I really wanted to kind of like reset my body and like figure out what's going on, what's making me feel ill, and all of that. So I will have maybe I'll have a drink like on this show.
Okay.
Not this one right now, but I mean
yeah, but next time or whatever, whenever we record again and you want to. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at also. I'm like, okay, I mean, like, I'm having drinks outside of the show, but like most of the time I'm like, okay, but if I drink, like this is gonna sound probably so unhealthy, but I'm like, you know, we had like a bottle of this, you know, whiskey, and I like could have drank it the last like several nights in a row, but I was like, okay, no, I'm not. I have to save it because I want to drink it for the show. So it's kind of nice that it gives me like a place to do that. You know, because otherwise I would be drinking it probably just whatever. Okay, now it's 9 p.m. I'm gonna go ahead and have a little bit of whiskey.
Yeah, and I think that's cool. You can tell that that's kind of a thing because my kids had me sign up for TikTok, right? And they were sending me messages on TikTok, and I had no idea. And they're like, why don't you answer our messages? I'm like, because I don't ever go on that thing. Because for some reason, I don't know, I did something. Every time I go in there, it's only moms drinking. That's all it is. Like jokes about drinking and drinking at 8 a.m. and drinking during quarantine. That's all my feed is and on that TikTok thing. So I don't even go on it anymore. But I think it's a thing. I think it's a theme, especially with the quarantine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. My friends too that I've been talking to, it's just like it's a free for all, man, because we're all just like locked in our houses constantly, and it's just like, you know, whatever.
Well, I would love to know your thoughts about your drinking. Has it increased during quarantine?
Yeah, tell us.
Let us know.
Let's have a conversation about it. I would guess yes, probably.
I would guess yes too. I think probably a lot of it's boredom too. Like,
for sure.
There's only so many pictures I can color, and I'm just kidding.
Yes, so many activities you can do at home.
But when I wasn't feeling well, I literally like laid on the sofa. I watched all of the new season of Unsolved Mysteries, and I got back on Dark, and then I watched Glow Up because we like makeup, and I Am a Killer.
Mm. Okay, I think I watched the first season of I Am a Killer, and then they did a second season, right? Like somewhat recently. I haven't seen any of that, but it was interesting. I feel like the first episode of the first season was probably the best one. I don't know, or something.
Yeah, I agree. And it gets a little, I think, repetitive in the sense of everyone's killing people. No, it's like, like, what the heck?
This is not what I expected this to be.
No, I meant more like it's obviously against the death penalty, I'm thinking, based on some of the stuff. I think it's anti-death penalty. Sorry, I keep knocking my chair in the desk. Sorry. And then it's like each one I think gets like it's a life sentence instead of the death penalty. And then there's murder. But anyway, it was fine. The Unsolved Mysteries, really, I know this isn't a review for that, but I just want to say it was so frustrating. I liked it, but I Googled every single one. Did anybody find out? And there's nothing. And I'm like, damn it. I want somebody to find out who did this. So it's frustrating. It's not as satisfying as like Forensic Files. You know, they find the person.
Yeah. Yeah, there's one though that has gotten some traction. Okay, because listen, this is what I do. I just need you all to know. If you didn't know already, as soon as I watch something, like 98% of the time, I go I go directly to the subreddit and I read what everybody else is talking about. It's like this, but because I just like having conversations about like what people are watching. I want to know what everybody else thinks. So I go and I read, and Netflix or whoever is behind the new Unsolved Mysteries they put up all the information that they have on the subreddit of Unsolved Mysteries. So you can go to the subreddit and pour through other stuff that probably I haven't really gotten into the files and shit that they've uploaded, like, so I don't know what's all involved in there, but I think you can like pour through the details of anything they have. So that's really interesting. But I think I saw on there the I cannot remember his name, so I apologize, but the black man that was killed, they're exhuming his body. Do you remember that one?
The young one that went to the party.
Yeah, the one out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
They're exhuming his body, which I read some comments that are like, people they wouldn't do that unless they had something substantial that they felt like they could find evidence-wise. So and I read a little bit more about that. If you're interested in that shit, go read. I recommend it because there is more information.
In case there's anyone like me who doesn't know, what does subreddit mean? What does that mean?
Oh, okay. So Reddit is a website.
Oh, Reddit. Reddit. That?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then there's just like the subreddit on whatever topic you want to look at. So usually there's a subreddit for whatever TV show. And this one is, Unsolved Mysteries. And so you can go in there and there's like a bunch of, I don't think people will post stuff in there outside of what the show covered, but like that's where I think they put everything.
I am going to be all about that now. I just downloaded Reddit. Yeah. I feel like, what's that you say? I feel like like an old lady right
No, you knew. You knew. You just, I just...
how weird. Okay, and then I'll totally stop. But I am so sorry. Either that whole town knows and covered it up, or somebody kept him until that family was going to search. They found him within 30 minutes of showing up. Just a bunch of normal people. When that mom that I know she killed her daughter and then is now raising her son.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
What a terrible person.
Gosh,
oh, my God. Okay. Before we even get to the one that's the most infuriating for me, they're all infuriating. Let me say that for sure. But, like, for this one, you guys go read the comments. Because, like, and I'm sorry, I just read casually. I don't, like, sometimes I feel bad because I'm like, man, I should, like, take note of what people say and, like, shout them out on here if I'm talking about their content, but like I don't think about it in the moment. I'm just like, reading casually or whatever. But I did read that seems to be the situation. And again, like I don't know, I haven't done like really real research into this, so like I don't know what is verified and what's not, but it did sound like from what I read that you're right. There is a town of people. and it's like these two brothers or something that are suspected of doing this, who were like at that party in that whatever, and their families are like well connected and in the law enforcement in that area and everything, so they just like get away with whatever the fuck they want to do. And so now that it's like getting a bigger light, I think that's like the sense of what I got. Like that's why this one's blowing up and why they're exhuming the body, is because now there's all these like higher level authorities looking at this, and it's a big deal. When it wasn't a
Yeah.
big deal, when it was just local authorities, you know?
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. There were so many fucking people at that party. How the fuck would no one know what happened?
No one. Right. And then they had divers, they had searches, they had all this stuff, unless they didn't. And like all those people saying, yeah, we conducted searches, they actually didn't. If they did, and they didn't find him when it only took the family 30 minutes to locate him right there.
Yeah.
I
Bullshit.
Oh God, I hope they get caught.
And then didn't they say too, didn't the coroner guy be like, there was like nothing consistent with him like being in the water for like fucking days? Like that doesn't even make any sense. I was like infuriated too, just as a person who is like, I'm not obviously a fucking detective, but I've watched a lot of and listened to a lot of true crime shit. There is a lot that a body can tell you. And this guy kept being like, oh, I don't know, it was inconclusive. It was inconclusive. Like, what are you talking about? Of course, like you couldn't tell if there's all kinds of shit that you can, right? Like I'm just like, am I crazy?
Yeah, and then they were like, well, there was no proof that he had drowned or that he had been outside for a long time, right? That was the one where right? And like he had papers in his pocket that weren't water damaged, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
But then that coroner guy was kind of like, well, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that he didn't. I'm like,
It was like the most inconclusive coroner in the world. I was like, okay, I mean, I get like reserving judgment and like reserving room for there being other things that are happening, but like at some point you also have to be like, I mean, there's like shit that you can tell how long a body's been there. You know, like I just was like, man, come on. I mean, decide something.
He took his shoes off and decided to walk home. So he took his shoes off and threw one way over there, threw off his hat and decided to walk home. Come on.
I know. Okay, so let me talk about the one that, we're on a tangent. We're on it now.
Yeah.
But let me talk about the one that is the most infuriating for me, is the one, again, they're all infuriating. But this one was like, I was just like, man, what the fuck? Am I taking crazy pills? I cannot believe I'm watching this motherfucker talk about this. Was that fucking guy who absolutely murdered or had his, like, wife murdered. The salon lady.
Oh, you just gave me chills. The one who slept with her ashes and locked his kid out. He didn't even know his wife was going to be, missing.
I was like, what the actual fuck? At first I was like, okay, I'm getting a weird vibe, but you know what? Like, I know I'm gonna reserve judgment. I don't know. A lot of people get pegged for things like this, and they're, they're innocent, and people just think that they're guilty because of whatever stupid fucking reason. Right? They listen to metal music, whatever, right? So I'm just like, and he was what was it? He went to college for like criminal, what am I trying to say? Criminal
justice?
No, but it was like
profiling?
Something like that.
Dude?
Yeah.
The dad did? That boy's dad?
The stepdad.
Oh, I missed that part.
It was the stepdad. Yeah, he had like a background in that.
Law enforcement?
And so
okay, anyway.
It wasn't law enforcement, no. It was like profiling or something. Criminal profiling, something like that. And so that they hit you with that real kind of early, I feel like. And then I was like, okay, that makes him look real guilty, but I'll hold my judgment. I'll hold it. I don't think it was him. It's too easy. I don't think it's him. And then we get to the end of that fucking episode, and this motherfucker goes and pulls his dead wife's ashes out of a shoebox in the fucking, like, closet. It looks like it has, like, water damage. It's been there for, like, years. And then he, like, straight up opens it up and pulls it out and pats the bag of ashes. I was just like, dude, no one acts like this about somebody in their life that's passed away. So possessive. He's like, yeah, he slept with the ashes. And then he was like, oh, and I got the ashes instead of anybody else, so that's probably a good thing, right? Like, I was just like, Bro, this
And
guy's
he
so
said,
guilty.
I am protective of her. Yes, I am.
Yeah. And
It
he was like so
infuriated
threatened.
me that little, he's not a little boy, he's a man now, but that he didn't have his mother's ashes. That
I know.
That made me sick. I don't
Or
care if you
anything.
married her later. I don't care if you love your wife and you married her later. The kids, her children, unless they are like, you're all a happy family and they're like, no, dad, keep them. The children should have their mother. He should have his mother's ashes. That made me,
Exactly.
it causes him so much pain. You can tell that he doesn't
Yes.
have that. So he didn't even get to see her. Then he locked the doors. He changed the locks.
Changed the locks that night.
That night. So the boy couldn't come back, but neither could his wife. Like, what? Oh my gosh. I hate that man.
I
It's
know.
not fair that he is living stroking ashes and doing all of that stuff. It's not fair.
Oh yeah, what a fucking weirdo. I know, it was that one. I think that's why that one was so infuriating for me, is just because, like, and granted, like, listen, I know they're like, they edit it to be, they're, who
Provocative.
knows what
Right.
who knows what happened in the production. Maybe it's not as crazy as they edited it to be, but that motherfucker looks guilty as fuck, if you ask me. I'm not a goddamn detective, but he's like, oh, don't worry, I have an alibi. It's this receipt that pegs me at this gas station exactly 45 minutes away at 2:37 p.m. Why the fuck would you have that? Unless you were unless you premeditated, like, I'm gonna need an alibi. Like, it just does not. I'm like, this motherfucker's so guilty. Also, what kind of fucking adult are you that you feel so threatened by the relationship between your wife and her son that you feel the need to change the locks and, like, okay, maybe I'll give you that maybe he was like a troubled teen and there were some issues. Why wouldn't you work that out with him? He just lost his mother, who just went missing today.
Yeah.
Which is out of character for her. Why don't you extend a little bit of grace? And then after all of this shit, he's like really like smug about the fact that he has the ashes instead of, I just was like, somebody lock this motherfucker up. Even if he's not guilty for murder, he's guilty of being an asshole.
Yeah, exactly. I guess he could have pretended that his car needed to be jumped, but remember the whole car situation? It looked like it was jumping another car, and then there was that guy that was in prison that said, yeah, he pretended he needed to jump or whatever. I don't know.
I saw some comments that were like, he could have hired somebody to murder her. Like, it's possible that it wasn't him.
Oh, that he went and got gas and saved that receipt so he had an alibi while this other person was killing her. Yes. We figured it out.
Doesn't that sound
Netflix.
Right?
Lock that guy up.
I gotta give it to whoever who actually figured that out and put it on Reddit, because that's I did not figure that out, but
oh my god.
Yeah. Anyway, anywho.
Awesome. We might just need to have like a true crime or I'm reading this book that's really good, and in it she's a podcaster, and it's called Guilty or Not Guilty, and it's where you, the audience, are the jury. We should like watch like some cold case thing or Unsolved Mysteries and have like an episode on that where we try to think who we think it is, but do research outside of just what's shown on TV, because you're right, because they edit it and all of that stuff.
Yeah, there's so much to look through. It's intimidating.
How fun.
But
I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible that there's these. I just
for sure
like the investigation and trying to figure it out.
Yes, it's like a puzzle, and seeing things that people didn't pick up on in the moment. Like, I think it's interesting now to see things that have been solved and look back now and be like, I mean,
I listen to so many of those podcasts where they look at a cold case, right, and bring it back up. And in some of them, they actually find the person. That is amazing when they do that during their podcast investigation, and how close they were years ago to getting that person who actually did it. Like, sometimes that person was even arrested and questioned, but for some reason they let that person go.
They let him go. Yeah, it's crazy. So, yeah, that's a whole separate but related topic.
Right. So what are we talking about first in our double feature?
So, double feature. We're going to talk about Quarantine first.
All right.
So, let me give you a little blurb. Oop, I should have made my window smaller. Hold on. So, Quarantine, here's my little blurb. Oh, it's got a 56% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is interesting. And it says, reporter Angela and her cameraman Scott are doing a story on night shift firefighters for a reality TV program. A late-night distress call takes them to a Los Angeles apartment building where the police are investigating a report of horrific screams. The TV team and emergency workers find an old woman who suddenly attacks with teeth bared. What's more, Angela and company find that the building has been sealed by the CDC workers. Then the attacks really begin. So, the director of this movie is John Eric Dowdle. And if that name sounds familiar,
it's because Tawny's in love with the Dowdle Brothers.
I'm in love with the Dowdle Brothers. Yeah. I gotta work that out. That wasn't as good as it could be.
You need to leave it. I think that
no.
Speak to them. Maybe we could have them on the show. Go, do it.
I like how you just assume, like, we have this star power. Like, we'll get Kevin Bacon. We'll get the Dowdle.
Yes. I think big. I dream big. I'm super positive.
No, it's great. I love that. And I agree. Okay, I reworked it just now in my head. It goes, I'm in love with the Dowdles. Okay.
Oh, I like it. Yes.
I'll work out the rest of that later. Like, they're right and they're direct and they're, I don't know. They're trapping, because they are trapping people constantly. They're trapping them in all of their movies.
You're just literally like Eminem right now, just coming up with this whole free flow of stuff.
No.
But
I will take that compliment. I will take it.
All right.
Okay.
So how all the movies that we've already, just to remind people that we've already reviewed.
Well, we're about to make it 3, but it's only 1 as of so far, and it was As Above, So Below.
Oh, it wasn't the Stir of Echoes, and it wasn't the other 2 Bacon movies?
No, that's David Koepp.
Oh, my bad. Okay, so we're about to make it 3 with this episode.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yes. So, and they both, John Eric Dowdle and Drew Dowdle, wrote the screenplay for this movie, for Quarantine. And it's got Jennifer Carpenter, who was in Dexter, Steve Harris, which I am not sure what else he's been in. I feel like you don't really get a good look at his face, so like I wasn't able to like peg where I know him from. But yeah, so that's the gist of that.
Was that her cameraman? Was her cameraman?
Yes.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, you don't really ever see his face. Okay.
But his voice sounded really familiar to me, so I was like, I feel like I've seen him in something else, but I don't know what it is. And yeah, okay, so that's the blurb. We've both seen this.
Yeah, we both
seen this. So
you
go ahead and tell me what you thought about the rewatch and or original.
Okay. So
time that you watched it.
I love this movie. The first time I saw it, I was totally scared, which I love. And the second time I watched it, I was scared as well. I absolutely loved it. I love Jennifer Carpenter. She is so real. That is exactly what there's certain things she had to do, like go back upstairs for the movie where I'd been like, fuck that, I'm not going up there. But like her reactions, she's just terrified. And I love Dexter. And she did the same in Dexter too. She's so good. And you know how I am. I really love when I buy it that these people are realistic. So I loved it. I was scared. I was nervous. The only thing is certain times where they would like turn their back. So for example, when the one girl was in the closet, they were all upstairs. It was way into the movie where they're trying to find a way out. And they're in that.
By the way, if you haven't seen either of these movies, spoiler alert. Anyway, keep going.
Yep, I forgot to say that. Yes, spoiler alert. She's in the closet, like shaking, and she has her hands in her mouth, right? And they're talking about how they can get out. It was just when they tried to get out the window. and cut through the
Okay.
plastic, and all the SWAT team came. And then they go to her and she's like eating her hands. There's blood, and they realize, oh crap, she's been bit. And then like they go do something else. They're in the room, their backs to her, and they're doing something else.
Oh, the other girl, not Jennifer Carpenter.
Oh no,
the
no,
other.
I'm sorry, not Jennifer
Yeah.
Carpenter. The one girl, I do not remember her name. She lived in
Yeah.
the apartment building. She's in the closet, like, and they realize she's eating her
Yeah.
fingers, and then they just all like forget about her. Or how many times are you going to go up to somebody covered in blood, foaming at the mouth, and go, "Are you okay?
Yeah, totally,
Are
totally.
you okay?" Like, no, okay. Like when they did that with the child too. Again, yeah, she's gonna eat you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to say. But other than that, I really, really liked it, and how terrifying to be locked in there and not really have a way out. So that's
Totally.
What did you think?
Yeah, I liked it too. I loved this movie the first time I watched it, and I liked it the second time, but there were like things that I think were just like not. I just think if you know what the explanation is, it takes a little bit of the bite out of the movie. I didn't mean for that to be a pun, but it was. You know. But you know what I mean? Like, I think the first time you watch it, you're like, whoa, what is happening? Like, oh, why are these people acting this way? And when you get the explanation, you're like, oh my, like the first time you're like, oh my God, that's crazy. And so the second time knowing it, I was just like, okay, like I'm just here rewatching it. And there were some things that I think I picked up on the second time that were just weird that I was like, I didn't love. But I do overall, I like this movie a lot. I think it's a really good found footage movie, which if you haven't picked up on this so far, I do really enjoy found footage. And so that alone like makes me poised to like this movie. And Jennifer Carpenter, like you're saying, is so good. I feel like especially like also to say on the other end of the spectrum, upon rewatching, watching that first like 30 minutes of her in the station with the guys and talking to them and interviewing them and like reacting to things, I was like, man, she is so good. She is
So
such a good
real.
actress. Like so just natural. Like you're just watching a normal person
Yes.
be in this situation. And so that was interesting. But on the flip side of that also, again, I'm flipping all over the place, towards the end of the movie where she just becomes hysterical, like watching that a second time, I was like, okay, like I don't know. Like I get that that's like possibly how you would be in this situation. So it's not that I don't like buy it, but it's like frustrating as a viewer because you're like, I just want something good to happen. Like these guys just
Yeah.
like get pummeled and pummeled and pummeled and nothing goes the way that you want it to go. And so that's frustrating to just watch her be totally helpless. Like, and doesn't,
Yeah.
she doesn't even really at any point try to, other than just running around the building, I feel like, and, getting keys and opening doors. It's like, I mean, at some point you gotta just decide, like, am I gonna die here? Like, no, I'm gonna, like, fight back or something, But I liked it still. It was,
Oh, I see what you're saying, because I think the majority of us that we would could you just imagine that that's real? Like, what do you do? Like, what do you do? I don't even know. Now, if there was something coming, I think that I would arm myself somehow. Like, I would feel more comfortable if I was able to hit the thing. Oh my God, I don't even know. Like, in that darkness,
yeah.
when she's in that pitch black darkness, it's just like, I don't know. And
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, though. I totally forgot why. I had seen it so long ago. I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was, I could see what you're saying if you already knew. I had totally forgotten why these people were, like, zombie type people. So it was like I was finding it out all over again.
Okay, yeah, that's an interesting experience. I think it stuck with me because I liked it so much. I was like,
Yeah.
oh damn, like what a great idea to like run with that, like, and I have like maybe a very short tidbit later about this movie, but about that part of it. But yeah, and God, what's his name? The Jay Hernandez. I didn't mention his name earlier, but he's like the main firefighter guy, and
Yeah.
he does a really great job too. Like,
Yeah, he's real. Yeah, he is very believable. How about that scene where the cameraman bashes that woman and there's blood all over the
loved it.
lens? Yeah, he had to wipe off the lens.
Loved it.
That was
There were
great.
moments in this movie that even just upon rewatching that I had forgotten about that shocked the shit out of me. My favorite and the first being when they're all down in that foyer of this apartment building, and they're like, they're sort of starting to panic. I mean, again, there's like an element in this movie of panic where everybody's sort of like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? We have to get out of here. And then when they can't get out of there, they start just doing whatever the fuck they think is right, and it's just it's human panic. I love that. Scared of that. But when they're starting to panic in that scene, and that's when the firefighter falls and fucking smashes against the ground down on the, and I was like blown back, forgot about that part. And I just, I was just watching with my jaw open. I was like, oh no, like I forgot.
Yeah, that was great. That shocked me too. That was so good.
And then there's like blood, and they're trying to save him, like he's like kind of alive, so they're like,
oh, how about when he comes out on his broken leg, and he's
the leg, the broken leg was so gross. I was like, ugh. There's like shocking moments where you're like, oh my god, what am I watching? And like that was one of them. And when they shoot the old woman when she's like running at him, love that too, because it's shocking,
Yeah. Sorry, my janky light was making me look all shiny. It still does. But anyway, yes, so good. Yeah, I really liked all of that. I'm trying to think if there was, I mean, just the idea of having to go from room to room, like, because I originally, when they got up into that one apartment and it's clear, right? Like there's no one in there. Well, you have that woman eating her fingers off, but like, I feel like I'd want to find an apartment and just lock myself in there. Like, just lock myself in there. And I felt the same thing, like with the strangers. We haven't talked about that yet, but there's like this one scene, or in general, I always think I would, if I had a gun, and I would barricade myself in like a closet or something where there's only one way to get into that room. And anything that came, I was going to shoot it. And then like, wait. I just like, wait. Why do I need to walk around and shit? Like, what if I just wait and they figure out, I don't know, maybe the things will die. Or maybe I'm sitting here with my gun while I'm talking to you. I'm like, and it's a shotgun apparently. But they did make a good point where they're like, well, there is an area at the bottom of the building where you can get out, or like in the basement or whatever. But is it going to be open? Like they've barricaded everything. Like I almost feel like, I don't know, I'm stressed out thinking about it.
Yeah. I like that too. It sets up this like, oh, what would you do in the city? I love those questions of what would you do, and I like how too the building owner keeps coming back with like, oh, okay, maybe we could go out the back. Oh, that doesn't work. Okay, maybe we could go out. We could jump down on the awning. Yeah, and I liked that because it was sort of like, oh, okay, this guy, as the night progresses and it becomes more clear, like they're not gonna let anybody out of here. We're gonna have to sneak out of this bitch, like. He's like, okay, maybe we can drop down on this awning, and they go up, and that's when they
shoot him.
That was the other shocking one that I had forgotten about. That I was like, oh god, yeah, oh my, they just shot that guy, like, and she's hiding right behind the window. I liked that scene a lot.
Yeah, that was
like
great.
I was like, man, and then there's even like just a really nice shot of like, I think it's like 2 seconds, very short. I mean, not even 2 seconds, because that's kind of a long time when you think about it, but it's like you see her on the other end of the window because he's shooting her. She's behind in the shadow, like hiding from the military, whoever is out there, and in the reflection of the window you see the guy that just got shot on the ground. I was just like, beautiful, like that's awesome. How long did it take to set up that shot? Like, that's great.
I almost feel like in that particular scene, that's the scene I'm talking about where the woman was eating her fingers. And I feel like, and then everyone just turns their back on her and she's still in the closet. And then she lunges at them. And I feel like if I was able to, I would throw her out the window. Because then how frustrating when they were watching the TV, and on the TV they were saying, oh yeah, we cleared the building.
Yeah.
I would want and they knew that at that point, that they were saying that the building was clear. I almost would want to be like, no, it ain't. Toss that bitch outside.
Good luck.
The monster bitch. And then have
Oh, you're going down with us.
Yeah.
See, I feel like that's the opposite of every space one, right? Like all the space movies are like, oh shit, we've come in contact with this thing that we cannot let get back to Earth. And it's like the mission is to keep it out in space. You're like the opposite of that. You're like,
here you go.
You know what? Fuck them. Shoot, just throw her out.
Well, it was more.
Let her infect you.
Yeah. Your turn. No, it was more I wanted everybody in the world to know that no, they didn't clear this building.
Yeah.
We're still in here. And here you go. Here's this crazy bitch. And because there was a lot of people with guns out there, they could have shot her up and been done with it.
True.
But
yeah. That's funny.
I wasn't like, go kill the world. If I'm going down, the world's going down.
Okay, let me see what I put for notes. And here's the reason why. I mean, and don't let me stop you, Felicia, if you got more to say.
I don't.
Okay. The thing is, I started looking up research for this movie, and there was so little. That's why I was like, shit, dude, should we just do a double feature? Because, like, there's just really not much to talk about here. Like,
but you know what? Which we did. We filled in the amount of stuff not to talk about with the movie with Unsolved Mysteries.
True, yeah. We have 20 minutes of Unsolved Mysteries. We've covered it already.
Oh, but go. What's your facts?
Here we go. Buckle up for a 1.5 hour long episode. Okay, so the apartment complex was a set, but it was a fully functioning one with 4 floors, which I thought was neat.
Okay, yeah.
But I do like the fact that, like, I kind of get the sense that this was, like, a somewhat cheaper film. Like, I like how they, they get in the building, and once they're in that building, they're in it. They don't leave again, and, they even block out the outside of the, building, so you don't even have to, like, get a cop car. You just get cop lights, you know what I mean, and flash them on the outside. Like, I appreciated that on some level, that I was just like, oh man, this is nice. It's nice what they did with such a small cast, and, probably was a semi-small budget. I don't know. Didn't look up those numbers. But, and also, on that note, I want to say, too, I liked the scene a lot where they were trying to figure out where that guy lived, the owner of the building, because he had the keys. And they were like, where does he live? Yeah. They were like, think. Like, reach inside your brain, like, and like, nobody can remember. And I didn't remember this scene from the first time, but I was like, yeah, somebody's gonna remember, right? Like, I was just like, somebody always remembers, and it's just, that's the way it goes. And somebody goes like, oh, it's like 3B, and they're gonna run up to 3B, but that did not happen. And they had to run down like 3 flights of stairs because somebody had the genius idea to go look at the fucking mailboxes. I was like, I really liked that. I liked that element because it's like, yeah, as a human being in this situation, you would be panicking. There's no way you could access your memory in that moment. And you just have to be like, what's plan B? Oh, we're going to go look at the mailboxes. Sorry, got to run down 3 flights of stairs. Like.
Yeah, it was constantly giving you realistic reasons why they would be running all around the building. Because instinctively, you're like, stop running around the building because of all the, zombie people out there. The infected people, yeah. And but they gave you a reason. Okay, well, I get that. Why they would need to do that.
And it's the best option they have in that moment. Like, how are we going to know where this guy lives? Oh, we're going to have to just go look at the mailboxes. So I liked that. This was shot in chronological order. Oh. Which is so not normally how they do things, right? Just because it's easier to not. But I thought that was really interesting because sometimes they talked about how it's like it was easier kind of to have, the amount of blood and dirt and stuff on people be gradual rather than, jumping around. But I thought it was neat.
I think the emotion level too. As an actor, totally. I'm not an actor, so I don't know. This is what I assume. But if I'm able to, instead of I'm not scared, I'm horrified, I'm about to die. I'm moderately scared, but I'm not sure. It seems like it'd be easier if it gradually built, because that's what would naturally happen.
Totally, like ramp up. Yeah.
Yeah.
The average shot was between 4 and 6 minutes long. I mean, again, just the nature of this movie, like, you've got really long shots, because it's, a found footage deal where they don't, it doesn't feel like they're cutting a lot, right? Like, they're rolling and you're just watching this found footage, and but I watched, I mean, again, I was like in search of some information about this movie. And so I ended up watching like a bunch of interviews with people like who were, I think, at the premiere. And I think it was John Dowdle, the director, who said like it was kind of frustrating because it's like, you get all set for a shot and then you go to do it. You do the shot for like 5 minutes and then you have to redo it. That sucks to have to like stop and start again 5 minutes ago and do it all from that point. Like that would be
that's tough,
frustrating.
Yeah.
But it aids in the end result, I feel like, of the movie. And then I also wrote, again, I got all this from IMDb, human rabies cases. Oh wait, maybe I didn't get this one from IMDb. Human rabies cases in the U.S. currently average 2 per year, which I think I got that from the CDC or something, which is interesting because I was like, I think I read a news story about this happening like 2 years ago, maybe 2018, but there was a man in Utah who died 2 years ago from rabies because he, like, there was like some situation where like his wife and him, like the bats would get in the house and they would just like pick him up and like take him back outside, but one of them bit him. And then I've also read that like sometimes a bat can bite you and you like may not even know. And then you start to have this, once you start to have the symptoms of rabies, it's like pretty much 100% lethal. Like you are going to die. Like there is no survival rate. And I mean, if you're just catching up now, this is the whole reason in this movie for why these people are acting this way, is because they have rabies. They have some sort of like, advanced form of rabies that travels from the dog to a human, and then they pass it to each other.
Oh, it's from the dog? It wasn't from the rats?
No, because remember the guy who comes in from the CDC or whatever, or I think it's the CDC, and they come to take brain samples. You remember this? And they're like, "Why are you here?" They're like questioning him, and they're like, "A dog was brought in, like a week ago."
Yeah.
And had rabies, and that's how we knew what it was.
Oh, see, I wasn't super clear because at the end, okay, I wasn't even sure it was rabies. Like, there was
all that shit in the attic about the rats, and so like I think the intention there was like, oh, the rats gave the dog rabies.
Because you know what? So
or
first
maybe
of all
of them.
I didn't know it was rabies. I know it was like rabies. And then I was confused if it was that man, the dog, the rats, the guy that was in the attic, the skinny, gross guy that was missing, the businessman that was from Boston that had been missing.
That guy got... Oh, yeah. I think the intention is that guy is the skinny guy in the attic.
Yeah, right. Okay, yes. So that they took him and experimented on him. So I wasn't as clear as exactly how it got out. But I knew that the one person was experimenting. Who was the person experimenting, though? It was the owner of the building, right?
No, I think that was the guy that was in the attic from Boston, where he was like, I haven't seen this guy for weeks or months or whatever. Oh my God,
I thought it was the landlord. I was so confused, and I thought they experimented on the guy from Boston. And that's who was in the attic.
Yeah, I don't think so. I didn't get any hints to that.
No,
I thought it was just the guy in the attic who was crazy and just like rented that space, but he hadn't seen him for a few months because he had become, infected
one of those
with this
things.
thing.
Okay.
But But I think, like, the thought process beyond that is a little muddy. Like, I don't know. Maybe it is, like, the rats ended up giving the humans. Maybe the rats
Because
bit
there was
the
all
dog
those rat cages.
Right.
There were so many
Yeah.
rat cages, so he's obviously experimenting on rats.
Or maybe that guy, like, poisoned a bunch of people somehow. Who knows? I think there's kind of a muddy,
area
how we
right
get
there.
from point A to point B.
Because
But
in part 2, there's a homeboy on the plane that has this shit.
There is somebody on a plane.
Oh,
Yes.
God. One day, Tawny and I talked about maybe we should do part 2s of movies and just talk about, like, was there any of them that were good? Or are they all absolutely freaking ridiculous? So anyway.
Yeah. Because we've talked about doing maybe one of the movies that we talk about being one that, like, is a bad movie that like one of us didn't like or something. But it's, like, hard to motivate ourselves to watch a movie that we know is not going to be very good.
Yeah, I want to hope
like,
it's good.
Yeah, so we're like, okay, maybe we'll just watch sequels instead, because sequels are sometimes, I mean, I would say most of the time, they're, like, notoriously bad for being bad. Does that make sense? They're notorious for being bad. And so then we inadvertently watch bad movies, but maybe other people like them.
We could give an award for the best sequel, and maybe, Scorsese will want to be on our show.
Maybe. He's, like, not even a horror person, but we'll bring him on.
We'll bring him on. You're welcome. You're welcome.
We'll let you. You're welcome. You're welcome. It's an honor for you, to be honest.
Oh, my God.
That was a straight up snort. Okay.
I snort all the time when I laugh. So, you got anything else on this movie?
Okay, so my last point is all rabies symptoms in the film are depicted accurately, which I think when the guy is talking, when the vet is talking about, like, here are the symptoms of rabies, I think that's what they mean. And in the movie, he says, well, I've never seen it happen this fast, and it doesn't, like, transfer this fast. Like, obviously, they took the rabies idea and expanded upon that and made it, like, so I think the intention is to think, like, oh, these people got rabies and it evolved into, like, a higher, crazier form of rabies, and that's why these people are acting the way they are.
Yeah, like that dude up in the attic. It was in the attic? They didn't go down? Anyways, whatever, it doesn't matter. He developed that. It seems like he was testing it, right? So maybe he developed one that was more extreme.
Yeah, more effective for probably what he was trying to do. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got on this. Oh, wait, I did also read or hear in one of the interviews that, I thought this was just a neat little tidbit, that the guy who plays the cameraman doesn't always have the camera. There's, like, a DP, a director of photography who has the camera, and they all wore the same shoes so that if they caught the shoes, it looked like it was the right guy. I thought that was a neat little thing.
That is clever. I like that. All right. Yeah. So I liked it. So we're going to score it.
Yes. What would you give it?
A 4 out of 5. Because I really liked it. It scared me. And didn't I give a 4 out of 5 to that house movie?
You Should Have Left?
Yeah. That house movie, and you knew exactly what I was talking about. Okay, so yeah, I didn't like it less than that movie. I liked it a lot. Okay. So 4 out of 5.
Okay, I think I'd also give it a 4 out of 5. Even though it wasn't, like, even though it wasn't as good of a experience rewatching, like, I still like it for what it is. And I still,
I'm just excited because it's the same. You're not like, 1.5. Not that you ever sound like that, but... A 1.5, yeah.
Excuse me, I'm
because
way
I
too
should
good
like
for this.
it every single time I watch it.
No, I gotta give it. I mean, it left a lasting effect. I feel like the movie the first time I watched it. I mean, again, it wasn't bad the second time. It's just like I kind of knew what to expect, and so it was less shocking. But
yeah.
Anywho. Now I'm sort of regretting. I'm like, man, I should have given you the research for the Poughkeepsie tapes.
Yes, but you didn't. So,
but I didn't.
We are balls deep in this episode now, and we cannot go back.
It's too late. We've committed.
Are we gonna dive right in? Do you need a
Yes.
refill? A break of any way? A break of
I mean,
any way. A break of
I do
any
need a
way.
refill.
Yeah, I could use a refill and a break of a way. Of any
Okay,
way.
a break of a way.
I could yeah. And so we'll be right back with the how do you
Yes.
say it? Poughkeepsie?
I think it's Poughkeepsie.
Poughkeepsie. Okay. All right.
Poughkeepsie Tapes.
All right, we are back and we have our refills and we have emptied our bladders and we are ready for the Poughkeepsie Tapes. I said it wrong, didn't I?
Poughkeepsie Tapes.
Poughkeepsie Tapes. Okay. Poughkeepsie.
Yeah, it looks like Poughkeepsie,
Poughkeepsie, yes.
but I think it's
Hey,
Poughkeepsie.
if there's anybody from Poughkeepsie, please get on
Let
our
us know.
Facebook group and tell us, like, how do you say that?
Yeah, we want to know. I think it's. But
There was a
I
Poughkeepsie killer.
was there?
Yeah, there was a serial killer in Poughkeepsie. So I'm jumped right in. Sorry. Let's rewind. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. It's okay. Let's back up.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's. Let me read you the blurb, which is 1/10 the size of the last blurb, and it says, "Hundreds of videotapes of torture, murder, and dismemberment show a killer's decade-long reign of terror." That's it.
All right.
Thanks, Google. Let me open up IMDb now to tell you the people in it. Okay, so again, this is a Dowdle Brothers movie. Joint, if you will. Dowdle Brothers joint.
Yes.
So John Eric Dowdle is the director, and they both are credited as writers, which I did read, like, I keep saying read, but I did watch an interview with, like, one or both of them or something, and I think it was with Drew, yeah, I think it was with Drew Dowdle, and he was like, I went to school for business, so I'm usually the producer on our movies because I understand, like, that side of things. And he was like, John went to school for, like, film stuff, so he, like, understands more of, like, the theory, and that's why he's usually the director, which I felt like was a nice little interesting tidbit.
That is. I like that.
Yeah. And so the people in this movie, I don't even know. I have never seen these people in any other movie. Stacy Chbosky? I'm not sure if that's how you say it. Ben Mesmer and Samantha Robson are the main three that come up when I look at the cast. Okay, so my personal story with this movie, I feel like is important to say. I've talked about it before, but in case you didn't hear that episode, which I think was like maybe our first episode, is I first heard about this movie. It came out in 2007, I think it says. And in the interviews that I watched with them, the Dowdle brothers, they talked about the fact that they had just come off of this movie. Like, they had just finished the Poughkeepsie Tapes, and that's when they started to go into quarantine. Like, that's when they picked up on this movie, because quarantine is 2008. And both of them are found footage, right? So, like, they just felt like it was the next best step. And remind me, Felicia, maybe towards the end of the episode to talk a little bit about quarantine versus rec. I had forgotten to talk about that during the quarantine section. Okay. But so this was right before that, and it seems like it's their first, like, major feature film that they put out. And so anyway, the Poughkeepsie Tapes came out in, like, 2007, so I was 16, and one of my friends at the time, Tati, was also into horror movies, and I think her family was too on some level, because, like, somehow she watched this movie. Like, she watched a bootleg version of this movie and had told me all about it. So ever since then, I've wanted to watch this movie, but I cannot find it anywhere. So that has been, like, it's been this, like, elusive movie that I wanted to watch forever. So that's what I was telling Felicia, like, I want to watch this movie, dude, but I cannot find it anywhere. Well, turns out it's on Amazon Prime. So just learned that, like, last week or whenever we were watching Quarantine. I was like, shit, now I want to watch this movie, because I've seen, like, a ton of the other movies that the Dowdle brothers have done. And I feel like this is, like, one of 2 or 3 that I haven't seen now. So now I'm just becoming a completionist and I want to watch all the movies. So, I've already read the, synopsis and whatever. What did you think about this movie?
I'm very conflicted about this movie. I thought it had, first, I thought it could be way better. Because the idea is terrifying. There were some really good scenes. That scene, I had my kid, like my oldest daughter, she does not like scary movies, so she doesn't really watch these movies with us. I had her just watch the one thing where the guy says, starting from here all the way to here are all tapes about that one girl. All of us were standing there with our jaws to the floor like, holy shit, what could have this guy have done? Like, that was scary.
Yeah.
I did almost not watch it only because it's weird with me with my pasts. Sometimes things trigger me, and I well, obviously things with children, but I never know really. And that very beginning where he kidnapped that girl, the little girl, when he kidnapped the little girl, I don't know what it was. I felt, and people might be like, well, yeah, he kidnapped a little girl. It's terrible. But, you can watch things like, quarantine and different things like that and just be like, ooh, that was disturbing, but, whatever. But that, like, I stopped it and I even looked at my husband like, I don't even know if I want to watch this. I don't even know if I want to see what he did to that woman in those tapes. Maybe I'm just going to have to tell Tawny I didn't watch it. So, but I took a break, because I was started to watch it by myself. And then my other two teens, my middle daughter and her girlfriend, they arrived. And they're like, no, don't watch it without us. So I had stopped it at that point. And I said, go ahead and watch it up to this point, and then I'll reconsider. I'll see where I'm at. And I was fine, and I watched the rest of the movie. So I thought that was scary. It was that, just even thinking about that.
Yeah,
it's so gross. It's so gross. So that was scary. That scene with the tapes, like the whole idea around it, was scary. The acting was shit by, okay, the scared women, I thought they did a good job being scared. I believe that, like, some of the women.
Yeah.
But, oh my, I was like, please. Okay, let me back up. When it started, that was, I don't even think it was a minute, scene of the home tapes and the funeral, I thought, oh shit, is this real? No, I thought it wasn't. And I actually Googled it to see if it was a true story because that looked so real to me. And then I don't even know what character appeared first, but that freaking detective woman was obnoxious. It was like every single person. It was almost like the director said, hey, I want you to be the most unrealistic, stereotypical character. So, like, the detective woman. So I'm back in here, and there's a body there, and a body there. And I'm like, oh my God, please. Okay, so then there was the next scene, and the news anchor. And I started to feel irritated, and this is why. I'm not an actor. So if you are, and you want to just be like, bitch, it's hard. I mean, no, I have no doubt. I have no doubt that acting's hard. But Jennifer Carpenter was believable in the entirety of quarantine. When she's chatting, when she's in the fire, like you mentioned, all of that was real. I feel like there are so many true crime podcasts. I'm getting really angry. Like, I'm so mad at these actors for being bad. There's true crime podcasts.
Fuck you.
Yeah. I just binge watched all of Unsolved Mysteries on Sunday. Like, I feel like if that was my role, or me being any actor, there is so much material out there on how to be a realistic detective talking about a crime. Or, oh my God, seriously, that cop. So there is a massacre. Her boyfriend was slaughtered all over the damn house. And he's like, yeah, so his face was like pushed in like this. And then his intestines were like Christmas tree lights. Really? You just left that and that's what you're saying? So I hated all of the actors, minus like some of the women victims I thought was scary. The idea was scary. And I'm sorry. Aren't they called thespians? Like, I don't know. The fact that he was this Shakespearean actor did not scare me at all. Like, I know this wouldn't be the case if I was captured by somebody. I would be terrified. But I almost feel like the fact that he captured me and was this over obnoxious Shakespearean actor would have been the torture. Like, he wouldn't have had to do anything else to me, but fucking walk around acting. That would have been the worst thing ever. How about when he crawled in? Okay, the crawling in.
1,000%. 1,000%. Yes. Yes.
So that's how I felt.
Yes.
I felt like it could have been really terrifying elements. The idea is terrifying. But then there was all that other shit that I thought they did a good job with how she really became attached to him. I had read a couple books where that was kind of the storyline, where women who are like, how they brainwash them, and the killer brainwashes them into almost being obedient. So even if they're sitting in public by a cop, they're not going to say anything. So I thought that was pretty cool. Those little kids that went in the house, they're like, yeah, let's go downstairs. Mm-hmm. Thank God I didn't do anything to them. But anyways, yeah, that was how I felt. It was in the end, that he took her body. I felt that was a creepy element. Like, he was going to be with her forever, and it was creepy and gross. But there was all of that other stuff that left me like, even when he had her. Okay, so this beautiful element, terrifying, where is that called hogtied? Where she's like, the very first scene of that first woman, or no, it was the main woman that he kidnaps. She's like all tied to her feet and back, and it shines on her, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. It must have been so uncomfortable as an actress even just to be in that thing. And then he comes beside her, and my kids are like, what is he doing to her? And then he's just like, I'm an actor, and I'm just like, oh, for Christ.
You're like, go ahead and cut off all my limbs. I would rather have that than watch you.
Please. Can you imagine? You're tied up. Is there a point where you're just like, this fucking guy? Because you're tied up in the basement for God knows how long. And here he comes. Now, him coming in that black suit with the mask backwards. Bro. So it's creepy looking. But at one point, where you're just like, this fucking guy. Like, please kill me. Please kill me already.
Please. I can't take it anymore. I can't watch this. I can't listen to it.
When she's tied up and he comes in and he was like, tell me, you want them dead. I was just like, oh God.
I don't remember that scene.
Remember when she's tied up on that hook and he comes in and he's like, I killed your mother. And she's like, no, you didn't. He's like, tell me you wanted me to kill your family. And she's like, no.
Yeah.
I feel like when he put my head underwater, I would have sucked up a whole bunch of water to try to drown because I wouldn't want to see anything else this guy was going to do. So that's how I felt.
I'm gonna cry. That is fucking hilarious. You're so right. You're so right, dude. I was in the kid. Okay, listen. Let me just first cop to this. By the time I got to the Poughkeepsie Tapes, I was for sure a few drinks in. Okay, so listen. I was in the kitchen making food, I think. And I missed some stuff. And I think, like, that is one of the scenes that I was, like, in the kitchen for. Like, I could hear it, but I wasn't really, like, I was kind of, in some moments, I was passively watching this movie. And so that was one of them. Now I'm going to go back and rewatch that just so that I can relive that moment that you're pantomiming for me. Because I totally, I agree. Because I think the idea and what I had seen in the trailer for this movie, when he's all on all fours and he's got the two masks and he like lifts up, and there's a second. I liked that scene because I just thought it was like creepy without adding anything. Like I feel like, 9 times out of 10, it feels like they do something creepy and then they add something in post-production, like a fast walk or whatever to make it even creepier. For some reason, this one, like, made it creepier that they didn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, okay, I like this one scene. But then there was, like, another scene after that where he, like, comes in and he's, like, wearing the mask and there's, like, a whole cape situation. And I remember him, like, going to walk out of the room and he, like, turns around to her and he was, like, it was, like, a whole body, like, exactly what you're saying, like, thespian theater acting, like, deal. And there was, like, a whole body thing where he was just, like, he, like, threw the cape behind him and I was like,
yes! Ugh. Yes!
Okay, I cannot with this. Like, I just...
So when he crawled in with the mask, I thought it looked creepy. It was just, I think, because... And I was like, ooh, that's creepy. And then he kept crawling, and then I thought, this fucking guy. Because he's like, oh, I'm going to go upstairs and put on this black leotard and this mask,
right.
And I'm going to do this scene for her.
There were a lot, and I think I say this sometimes, but I feel like, especially in this movie, there were a lot of, like, loose ends. Like, I feel like they had a lot of good ideas, and it just fucking unraveled. You know what I mean? Like, as they went through the movie, like, there were some really good moments, like, there were some really high highs, and then there were some really low lows, and it just was, like, that, like, whatever weird Kate moment was, like, the lowest of the low for me. Like, I was just, like... Ugh.
Well, you'll see that scene when she's on the hook. He comes in and he has his arms like this. You like it's
the skull. Just
it's because this is such a scary idea. But there was just too much of like. Why did they make it? Why did they make him like this weird actor in the plague mask and a cape? Like, even my kid said, she's like, that scene, you'll see it now when he's putting her into the water. My daughter's watching it and she goes, I feel like I'd just be tripping all over his cape. And I was like, it just like, I wonder why they went that route. It wasn't necessary. It was a scary enough idea.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think and let me just say, as being somebody who went through film school, I think what happened was there were a lot of ideas that just, it was like, I think there's some times where you think like, oh, okay, there's like this happening, and then there's this, and then there's this, and it's going to be a layered story where there's like all these ideas happening and it all ties together. But through the course of like actually shooting and editing something, shit falls off and it just doesn't like stick. And then you've got these loose ends. And I feel like that's exactly what happened in this movie. Because like it was, when they first said something about like, oh, the only people to use these masks are like this,
the doctors during the plague used those masks.
Right. But then they also said something about like an old school theater thing. Like I was like, oh, interesting. Like I was like, okay, neat. Let's see where this goes. But it doesn't go anywhere. It just like, you know what I mean? Unravels into nowhere.
A theater guy who is also a murderer. A
murderer. But then the rest of the movie is like really focused on showcasing him as this like intelligent, like maneuvering murderer who's in the police force some way because he knows how they're onto him and he changes his MO. And like, I just was like, there was just a lot of ideas and you can see that they just didn't all meet together.
Yeah. I thought it was clever I kind of felt that the first guy that they killed for the crime wasn't the guy. I don't remember why, but I kind of thought, I think because it all happened so quickly that I didn't think that they got the right guy, but I wasn't sure. And so I thought that was an interesting little switch right there, right? He set them all up. But anyways, so did you feel kind of the same way, or did you really like
for sure.
it? Okay.
For sure. I would say, like, overall, I felt pretty let down. But, like, to be fair, any other movie that I was, like, waiting a decade plus to find that I could watch, I don't think anything could live up to the, you know what I mean? Like, I almost set myself up for failure in the way that I was so excited to watch this movie that I could not find for 10 years, and it felt very exclusive and elusive is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because, like, you couldn't find it and whatever. like, I just was set up for failure. And so then I watched it and I was like, okay. Like I said, there's some really good scenes. There's some really good scenes and
Mm-hmm.
some really good moments. Like you're saying, the kidnapping with the girl in the beginning, I was also like, shit, dude, maybe I should message Felicia. This is an uncomfortable, and I don't know, like, maybe I should just do that anytime I feel like there's something that's questionable for you, because I don't want to be responsible for the person who's like, go watch this thing. But I've never seen the movie, so I didn't know until I was in
No.
there. But it was so uncomfortable, and like, I do feel like in a way this movie goes places that other movies would not go, because
Mm-hmm.
they're designed for like the mass audience, whereas this movie, I mean, you can tell it's the first movie they've made. It gives you major student film vibes. Like, it's like low budget first movie type shit, but in some ways that allows them to go places that like I don't think you could go with like a major studio backing you. And so like they have the like little kid kidnapping scene, which is fucking uncomfortable. Like, I remember my mom telling me when I was like younger, she was like, oh no, they don't kill kids on screen. Like, they
Oh,
just don't.
yeah.
Kids
Yeah.
don't get killed on screen. Like, it's not a thing that you have to worry about, because they're never going to show it because it's not sellable. And so I
Yeah.
think about that
It's
a lot
too
of the time
disturbing.
when I watch movies
Mhm.
and stuff, I'm like, oh no, they're not gonna do it. So when they do it, it shocks the shit out of me because I'm like, I just expect them to not. So like that whole scene was very shocking. I feel like the scene when he like crawls in on all fours, like I said, I really liked that. Even up until the moment where he like comes up and like fucking stabs her with like
Oh,
two
yeah.
needles in the jugular and just
That.
bleeds her out. Like, it all looks pretty fucking
Yeah.
convincing. It's really creepy. I feel like all of the VHS tape footage looks really like authentic. Like, it makes me wonder, like, how did they shoot this? It looks nice. I mean, it looks bad, but that's the point, is that it looks like an old VHS tape. And that scene
Yeah.
with the girl, when they finally like get her at home and she's like talking to the camera crew and she's like, I don't know what you want me to say. You can tell that she's been, like you said, she's been brainwashed. She can't even function in like a normal adult conversation. She just wants to be told what to do because she's so conditioned to that. Like, I liked that. But the way that my friend described this movie to me, I thought we were going to watch an entire movie of an interview with this woman who escaped. And I don't know why. I must be misremembering this conversation with her, but I thought she had told me at the end of the movie, they finally zoom out and show you that this woman has all of her limbs missing. She's just like a fucking torso. Like, no
Oh,
arms, no legs, and she's still like committed to this guy in like a weird way.
that
And
would have been creepy.
And so in my mind, I'm thinking, like, I knew the ending of this movie before I even watched it, right? Because she told me the whole fucking, well, she told me that part. And so I was like expecting that. And so when it didn't happen, I was like, what? Like, it kind of happens,
Her
right?
hand,
Like,
right? Just her
she,
hand.
she, yeah, she goes to touch her like head and she's,
She
missing
goes
her
like that.
arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was disturbing because you get this sense, oh, he cut off some, but like I said, it just poised me to be like, to expect this very specific thing in this movie, and I didn't get it. And so then I was like kind of let down. But I thought she was ultra convincing. Of all
Oh,
the
yeah.
actors, she sold it. She took the cake for like that scene where she's so uncomfortable and she doesn't even know how to interact with them. I liked that. That was a
Yeah.
well done scene.
Yeah, I thought she did a good job. And a couple of the other ones that he captured that were screaming, like it was like a hot second they were in the show. I thought that they were realistic and she did really good. And that's a really good point. Like they showed, she had that ball in her mouth and he took it out and gave her water. He's like pouring water but like that would have been terrifying. That's a terrifying thing if someone like drugs you and removes your limbs. Like that is more
Ugh,
scary than that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And yeah, I totally agree. I thought she did a great job. I thought that this is a really scary subject and idea. And
totally.
they apparently, drew on a lot of real crimes and killers. So you have a lot of scary content there. And then they made him a Shakespearean actor.
Yeah,
And
like the thespian.
and then it
Too
was
much.
literally like, okay, everybody that interviewed for this role, please do your worst job and the stereotype of what this character would be, because I just doubt it. There are so many people pounding the pavement that want to be actors, and none of them are good.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I feel like, well, maybe not. Maybe they couldn't have paid the ones that are really good. I don't know. I just hate it when they're bad. I hate it because there's so, again, here I go back on my tangent. There's so much content out there to deliver. And I don't even know. I don't even know what it's like to be an actor. That's what I think when I see good acting. I admire it so much.
I get the sense what happened here is that it's their first film. Like I said, I think it's, it's given me student film vibes. And let me just also say, for good measure, I also think this is above that level. Like, I have seen a lot of student films, and I would say that it's like a half level of this, okay? Like, this is even pretty good compared to, like, that level. But you can tell that it is, like, their first fucking foray into it. And when I was reading the credits, a lot of the people have the same last name, right? So, like, I think they pulled on a lot of their family. Like, it is truly, like, we're talking student film level. Like, there's probably not a lot of budget. They're, like, the people who are the anchors in the hometown of where these guys grew up. So it's like, we're talking, like, bare bones, you know what I mean? Like, guerrilla marketing style, like, grab anybody who's willing.
A shout out. I'm sorry. My favorite actress in the scene, in the movie, besides probably the main girl that's kidnapped, is that woman news anchor. Woman news anchor, I was like, okay, that's like totally legit news anchor. Because it was. So she knew how to do it.
Yeah, because she is a news anchor. Yeah. So I think that's the thing. And even the main woman, I should have made a note about this, Stacy Chbosky. I could be saying that wrong. I think she's related to the Dowdle brothers in some way. Like, I think she's so I just think, and
she was good though.
I think she was in a couple of the other movies, but I don't remember who she was in those. Yeah, she did a really good job. But I just, we're talking, like, this is not Hollywood studio level. They probably did not have the budget to hire people. So when you take into consideration that, it's pretty good. Like, I can show you some shit. Yeah, it's pretty good,
but they still shouldn't have made him a Shakespearean thespian actor.
No, that
should have been scrapped, because if they were trying to make it like he was intelligent or well learned or whatever it is, he didn't have to be like an actor. They could have covered that just with how I liked that scene where the cop was saying all the different feedback. Remember, he was reading all the different feedback from different experts. This guy probably has a low IQ. This guy's highly intelligent, and show like how he's manipulating everybody without the actor portion.
Yeah, they're almost like competing ideas in a way, right? Like, you've got this like actor who like wants to put on a show and be like recognized, and then you've got somebody who's, supposedly highly intelligent, who has the intelligence to make it look like he's not intelligent, so that there's this like grand master plan about like, oh, I'm able to change up my MO and kill like more people across county lines or whatever. It just doesn't seem to like quite fit together. But so there were some really low lows and some really good moments. The Girl Scout scene I liked. It was very tense. I was fucking panicked the whole time. I was like, please don't kill these, please don't kill these sweet little Girl Scout girls.
I really liked the scene where he helped that woman that was good, I have to say. He helped the woman whose car broke down, and she's in the car, and then he says to her, so why did you assume I was a cop? And she's like, what?
Oh, yeah.
What are you talking about? That was terrifying. Like, that was really good, I thought.
And it's so long. That.
Yeah. And he's it's just so like, and she's just realizing that she is done.
And she's like, please let me, like, I didn't see anything, whatever. Like, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Like, there are moments that you're like, damn, this is like, if this was put into a different, like, if you just simplified the idea got better actors, more budget, like whatever. Like this could be a really fucking great movie.
Just make him a normal dude. Like a Ted Bundy. Fine, if you want him to be super intelligent and maybe people like him, think of more like a Ted Bundy and like, you know, instead of, you know, the show.
Yeah, this
and the oh god.
That's the best way to say it. Just the cape toss.
It's like this.
Too much body acting.
Yeah. I mean, that just was obnoxious.
I put it on too high of a pedestal for it to ever have
met your expectations.
It made a good impression on me. So I literally have like 2 things for this movie also, because apparently the Dowdle brothers don't like to talk about whatever the fuck happened on set with their early movies, which is infuriating. I'm like, give me some trivia, for the love of God. Anyway,
we'll tell them that when they're on our show.
We will. We'll say.
Can you like
but I'll
share
say it nicer.
some tidbits? Yeah, exactly.
Could you please add
Can
some?
You sign my wall and give me some
Tell me how you did your movie. So this was shot in 15 days. Which is crazy, actually, when you think about how short that is. And then my second one is a very long one, and it's all about the release. So, despite having been completed and having had its theatrical trailer attached to several widely released horror films in 2007, the film was eventually pulled from release without any official explanation. It was later given its first official limited release 7 years later in 2014, when it became available as a video-on-demand title through DirecTV. So that's why, like, you know, my friend... Okay, I'm not done. There's also another sentence, but before we move on, that's part of the reason why I was never able to track down this movie. Like, my friend watched a bootleg version, but we were never able to actually, like, grab it from anywhere, and it's because it was pulled, and nobody ever talked about it. But I've also seen, like, comments on Reddit and stuff talking about, like, you know, it's possible that just at the time, so many movies were coming out that were found footage that the, you know, whatever distribution company was like, this is a lost cause, we're not going to make any money on it, let's just go ahead and pull it. Like, because it's, you know, it's not that great. It's not a, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a shockingly spectacular movie. So I wouldn't be shocked if they were like, we're not going to make any money on this, just go ahead and pull it, right? So then it says the film was finally granted a DVD and Blu-ray release through Shout Factory 3 years later in late 2017, 10 full years after its initial planned release. So that's why you can't find this thing anywhere. Until now. It's on Amazon Prime.
No, it's on Amazon Prime if we've intrigued you with our review of this movie. Yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think. Maybe someone's like, oh my gosh, I loved that he was an actor. I love it.
Some people, I think there's like some people who really like hold fast and like love this movie and think it's a gem, right? And I think there's some really great ideas and some great scenes, but overall it kind of misses. I think it just it's too confusing. It tried to do too many things all at once and it ended up being...
Yeah, because when I think about a score, I don't loathe it. Like, I wouldn't give it a 1. I'll give it a 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought maybe 2.5, but I think I'll do 2 because I just, but it's such a good idea. Like, I almost want somebody... I almost want the Dowdle brothers, because I don't think they're bad, the fact that they had done this early on, to almost redo it and remove the Shakespeare and stuff. Like, somebody redo it. Please, quality actors, because when the very first detective is like, so when the murder... Stop.
I know.
Like...
The detective who's teaching the class, is that what you're talking about?
Oh my god, him and just the detective talking about it. There's like a detective who's talking about, well, when we approached the crime scene, right? The woman just drove me absolutely crazy. Like,
I feel like she takes the cake as far as like the
there's
police
a body
force.
over here, and there's a body over here, and we're just all like, how do you even feel like that is right? But okay, if it was his cousin or something, okay,
right?
Then actually, I
It was
give
pretty
to you
good.
then. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
like-
pretty damn good.
There's like, listen, I will pull out some shit from the vault, okay, and show you some student film shit. Like, it's embarrassing, right? Because you're just like, oh, let me just get my friends, right? Like,
Yeah,
do your best. But yeah, but I agree that she really did not sell it for me. But like, I also thought the like guy who's like teaching the class was like, if that guy had just turned it down one notch, just one, he would have been so believable. But there was just a tad too much, like he just had some shit to prove.
I think I'm going to one-up you, but I totally agree with you. With the chick that read all her lines. Just fucking cut that scene. Her friend with the bandana.
Oh, yeah.
Read her lines. So the very first one where she looks down and I thought, okay, maybe she's reading her statement. Like maybe that's intentional that she's reading her statement.
She's referencing. Yeah.
Yeah. But then she says, okay, ask my daughters if when you meet them, you'd be like, hey, remember that movie Poughkeepsie Tapes? Poughkeepsie? Yeah.
You did it, yeah.
What irritated your mom? One of the biggest scenes besides the fact that the dude was an actor. What was the biggest irritation? When she's talking about her friend being missing and she's like, oh yeah, and she called me and she's reading it, by the way. She called me, and then she'd look at this script, look at the camera, and then go back down and read it. It was terrible. You couldn't see the paper, and she's like, and she told me like she felt like someone was watching her, and I'm like, you're probably just being paranoid. And then she stops and goes, hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
Yeah? Hindsight's
that was
20/20.
bad.
That's the fucking little quote you say. You say that little, what is it called? What is it called? Those types of statements. I'm totally forgetting what they're called. Like hindsight
like a
20/20 or no, like
saying.
It's a saying. Yeah. That's what you say.
Idiom?
Your friend is missing and you're terrified or whatever, and you're like, hindsight's 20/20. I literally felt like if I see the actress in the street, I will punch her. But then here's the thing. Like, when do you chalk it up to the script? So there's actors that we all absolutely adore. And the reason we adore them is because they'll take a script and be like, I'm not going to fucking say that. I'm going to say it like this. And they make it. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
Not they change everything, but they make it real. So like as an actor to say, I feel like I'm kind of an asshole right here. My friend is missing. Like, why would I say this? But if they're not even really, and even if you're a new actor, right? And you're just trying to get a gig, you probably don't feel brave enough to say, I really don't think this works. So they say it. Yeah. So there's that, right? And then they bring her back. And so that's when they brought her back and she's looking down and like reading, I'm like, oh, this isn't intentional. This bitch couldn't memorize 5 lines. I am not an actor and could rewind this and have it memorized just by watching it a couple times. You had a couple lines. Unless this woman, I know it for a fact because I played Viola in 12th Night in theater in college, and I memorized all of that Shakespeare shit, and it was hard. So I know for a fact you could memorize 2 lines of script. Unless this woman was like, I don't want to do this. And she's a family member.
Totally.
And they're like, God, please, please, we need one more person.
We don't have anybody else. Yeah, please.
Then I give it to her.
Yes.
Yes.
And let me also just throw in the ring. I have worked with many of people who are okay acting. Maybe it wasn't like their first choice, but they get roped into it, whatever. I just think there's a different thing when you've got a camera in your face and a whole crew of people watching you. I've seen it time and time again. Even me. I've been around cameras for a long time now, years and years, right? And if I get in front of a camera, I have a hard time remembering lines. Like, even though I've watched people do it over and over again, and even every time I'm like, man, why can't you remember that? I know as soon as I get in front of that lens, there's something about the pressure of being in front of the camera on time, like you have to perform, and then you've got somebody telling you how to do it and you know you're not doing it right, but they can't really explain to you how to do it better. That is a
Yeah.
fucked up situation. It's hard. It is hard. Like, I
Oh,
do
so
have to give it up.
acting, 100%. I I don't know if you remember the show Felicity. Do you remember that show Felicity with Carrie? Whatever, it was a long time ago. I'm older than you. But there's a show called Felicity, a TV show, and I did the food styling on it because my my uncle's girlfriend at the time, she does food styling for a lot of different shows. And
Okay.
like she did the food styling for Austin Powers. That you remember that whole scene where they're naked but they keep bringing up different food?
Yes.
She did the
Yes,
food.
I do.
Yes, she did the food styling
Oh,
for
God.
that. So Felicity was like my favorite show back then, and so I was with her and we did the food styling for that. And I remember it was one scene and it was all night from different angles. And that Carrie, her name is Carrie something. Gosh darn it. But anyways, it was just her learning that her parents were divorced and she had to cry over and over. It was that one dinner scene. No doubt, like, how do you even get into, it's not like you can just be believable, like, because it's not believable the situation you're in, because okay, stop, okay, let's reset, now you have to get back
Right.
into it. Totally get it. I guess it's just like she didn't have that many lines and she had to read them off the paper, like she
Yeah.
was visibly reading them off the paper.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020, I guess.
She's all
She legit.
hindsight is 2020.
Yes.
For those of you not watching, I looked down at my paper. Anyway, you probably got it. You got it.
Yeah. You could jump over to YouTube and see.
Yeah.
See.
So I think I give this also a 2. I think I give it a 2 out of 5. Yeah. I think we're aligned here. 2 out of 5. Yeah.
That's awesome because that rarely ever happens. And just to give Carrie Russell played
Okay.
Felicity. All right. A lot. 1998. So I graduated high school in 95. So that was a while ago. But anyway, yeah, that's cool. We're rarely aligned. We were aligned on both this time. Our double feature.
Yeah. And something that I just want to say, like, now I'm going to get to the part where I compare and look at all of these movies together. The Dowdle Brothers obviously have a theme, which is found footage, stuck in a place, like, outside of your control that you get stuck in, and I fucking love that shit. That's just my shit. I just love it. So, like, I loved As Above, So Below. I loved Quarantine. Those are both same kind of shit. You get stuck in a place that it's not up to your control. And also, Devil is not found footage, but they get stuck in an elevator, which sucks, and panic ensues. Right? So there's, like, always an element of being stuck, panic, sometimes found footage, sometimes not. I just like their stuff. And I think, to your point exactly, Felicia, I would love to see them go back and do this movie again. I'd love them now with the knowledge and the expertise that they have, to go back and redo it, because I think they'd fucking kill it. Because there's so much good there.
Yes, yeah. See, I like these guys, but I only liked one of the 3 movies we watched by them. But I like them.
Devil.
Like, I want...
Devil's on our list.
It's good? Well, don't say anything. We'll share if it's good after. Because I like all of those things you mentioned. All of those things you mentioned scare me. So, and I think this was the same as Above, So Below. I actually said the same thing. I love the idea. I love Dante's Inferno. I've always thought, like, oh, I wish somebody would do a really good movie of Dante's Inferno, because I want to visually see all of the layers of hell. And I loved the idea. It just didn't do it for me. Same thing with this movie. The idea is terrifying. And did they do The Purge by chance? Because it was the same thing for The Purge. Is the idea?
I don't think so.
The idea of The Purge is so scary to me, and then but it fell short. And you have such a good idea. It's just like such a good idea. But anyway, yeah, those guys, because of course they're listening to the podcast, are like, dude, that was like our first movie, and we and all that stuff that you brought, that's a good point. Like, literally, if those were all just friends and all of that, then then that's pretty stellar.
Yeah, like it's I think it's context. Like, you know what I mean? Compared to this, it's like this. So that's I think why I'm also able to step back and be like, okay, it's pretty good. If I had just seen this movie like not knowing any of that, and like I would rate it much lower. I'd be
Yeah.
like, this shit's a 0 out of 5. Like, I don't know, but I know what it's like to try to make a movie. Like, it's just like so fucking hard, especially when you're trying to get people to act that don't want to act or like aren't great at it, but you can't pay anybody, so you just have to take what you can get. Like, it's pretty good when you take that into consideration. But yeah, like
It's
there's a
hard
lot that
because there's
fails.
so much out there, even low budget or like indie films that are so good.
So
That
good.
so when you come up with things that are just don't hit the mark, it's just really hard.
Yeah.
But should we tell them what we're watching next?
I want you to tell him because it's your pick.
All right, so it's my pick. So I may have a lot of people hate me, or you may be just like totally chill about it, or you may love me. Who knows? We are going to watch Antichrist, and it's going to be an experience. That's all I can say. I am going to watch it again because this was the one where I was like, God, I don't know if I could, like your Hereditary,
Yeah.
remember? And I am going to rewatch it because I want to be able to talk about it fresh. I don't remember enough of it. And let's see, Antichrist. Oh yeah, William Dafoe. William Dafoe and Charlotte Gainsbourg. Um, they are in a lot of this guy Lars von Trier's movies. They were
Okay.
also in that other movie I mentioned, called with Kirsten Dunst. Oh my God, Melancholia.
Melancholia.
Yes,
Damn, I'm good. I haven't even
yeah,
seen
you
this
are.
movie.
You
I'm
are
good.
good, and I loved that. And it was of the same sort of artistic feel.
Okay.
But it grabbed me enough, and I loved that. But anyways, William Dafoe and Charlotte Gainsbourg are in a lot of this guy's movies, and I hope you like it.
I'm excited. I think there's a well I'll update obviously after I watch this movie, but I feel like there's definitely a spectrum of like art films that I if an art film feels like it has heart to me, I usually really appreciate it.
Mhm.
But if it feels like it's just fucking art house for the sake of being like weird and out of the box and pretentious, I fucking hate that. That's like one of my least favorite type of movies to watch. So we'll see. I don't know where this is going to land. I don't know that I've ever
Yeah,
seen a Lars von Trier movie at all. So like I have no idea. And obviously that's just opinion where it lands on that spectrum, but
I'm
we'll
curious
see.
too what you think about it. Yeah, because I felt like both of those movies I just mentioned, they had I felt like everything was intentional and they had a lot of heart and it but it was art artistic as well. So I would be curious. And when you were talking about that movie, I would love to hear like what is a movie, well depending, you might hate this one, that is like artistic and pretentious that you felt
Yeah.
that you
Oh,
hated.
I got a list. I could tell you.
Okay, cool. Cool, because I'd be curious because I'm not as learned in film as you are.
Is there anything else on our checklist? So okay, we're gonna watch Antichrist.
Hmm.
We rated them. Join us
Yeah,
in
and
all
if
the
you guys want to
places.
watch Melancholia, it's not a horror film. So just as a side note, watch it and let us know. We're not going
Okay.
to talk about it, but if because it's not a horror film, but oh god, that movie. Whew. Okay, anyways.
Okay, good to know.
Yes, so feel free to watch that and do whatever you want with it. You could talk to us on our Facebook group. Yeah, join our Facebook group and you can mention it. I'll talk to you about it anyway. I love it. And what else? We're on Instagram. We're all over the world at Two Chicks and a Horror Flick.
Yes. And hope you're having a good time in this quarantine life. And I
Hashtag
want
quarantine life.
hashtag quarantine life. Hashtag most relevant movie to watch ever in this moment. And
Contagion.
I wanna kick it over to you, Felicia, to finish this out because I've talked a lot.
Well, no, but you're the one that says the little
Yeah,
thing.
but
Okay.
you said it first, and you did it the greatest.
No. All right, guys. Thank you so much for attending this double feature with us. We really, truly enjoy doing this, and we love all the interaction that we're getting on social media, on Instagram. It's so cool to connect with all these different horror buffs, and it's like, honestly, the most supportive community I feel ever is this horror community. Way more even so than like my normal, Instagram situation. I absolutely love it. I know that Tawny does too. So connect with us. We absolutely love you, and we will see you next time. And don't have any nightmares. Sleep good. I forgot the sleep good. Have a good night, and don't have any nightmares.